once I knock out Mike Perry, Conor McGregor, let's run it. But you won't do it because you know what's going to happen. You saw what I did to Nate Diaz, who you went toe-to-toe with. So Conor McGregor, lay off the cocaine, get in the gym, and start winning fights, and then maybe we can have a conversation.
Jake Paul is at it again with another attention-grabbing stunt, this time challenging Conor McGregor to a fight, targeting next May for the showdown. Interviews. Let's be honest. Jake's strategy is as clear as his boxing skills. He's targeting fading legends to inflate
Jake Paul made the call-out video. He disrespected Conor McGregor.
His so-called legacy. After pulling Mike Tyson, old enough to be his dad, into the ring, Jake now has his sights set on Conor McGregor, a fighter who hasn't won anything significant in years. Let's not kid ourselves. Jake's not about to take on someone in their prime. Why risk losing to a real challenge when you can cherry-pick a
Paul training with professional boxers, essentially being a professional boxer, but getting in the ring with non-boxers or geriatric dudes. He's
himself. Why not fight someone his own age and strength? Oh, right. That wouldn't fit his narrative. Another day, another cringeworthy grab for attention from the internet's least favorite boxer. Jake wants to fight Conor McGregor.
How does he just get in the ring with you? He's on Twitter, he's on his yacht, he's on cocaine, but he's not in the ring with me.
Yes, that Conor McGregor, the guy who hasn't won a fight since 2021, whose legacy is about as stable as his leg post-Poirier. But Jake, in all his infinite wisdom and unmatched humility, cue sarcasm, presents this news like he's single-handedly curing world hunger. The audacity of this guy to act like he's gracing McGregor with his presence is mind-boggling. And here's the kicker. The fight is apparently set for India in...
McGregor just tweeted at me because of this interview. He has to get active again. You know, who knows when that's going to happen. These are his tweets, and here's my response. Conor. You're more active on Twitter than you are in the octagon. Stop taking Trenbolone and start taking fights. You're more actively cheating on your wife than you are in the octagon. Your priorities are mixed up. Put down the bottle and get back to fighting. You haven't won a fight in 5 fucking years, and the last time you did was against Cowboy Cerrone, who hasn't won a fight against anyone since fighting you. I'm a nobody, you say in this tweet. Oh yeah, you're right. I'm just a fucking kid from Ohio. I really am a nobody, but this is where you fought your 6th fight. There's literally 2 people in the crowd. And this is where I'm gonna be fighting my 6th fight. Madison Square Garden, the mecca of boxing. August 6th. I know you'll be watching
2025. Because why not add an exotic location to make this circus even more absurd? Jake's ego, much like his career, thrives on spectacle. And apparently, this is his latest stunt to stay in the headlines, while we collectively cringe. He's too busy tweeting from his yacht, talking about his cocaine habits, but somehow he's still not getting in the ring with anyone legit. Then there's ESPN.
Easy, like I said, Jake and I could spar, of course, but that video would be worth millions of dollars, so we can't just throw it on Twitter for free, because the whole world wants to see it.
ESPN's Sal Vender, the journalist who decided to stir the pot with a tweet that sent social media into a frenzy. He claimed Jake Paul versus Conor McGregor is on the table for July, August, or September 2025. And yes, you guessed it, it's happening in India. Because nothing says serious boxing match like a ridiculous venue and a date far enough away for us all to forget how pointless it is. The tweet blew up on Twitter with likes, retweets, memes, you name it. The internet went wild. What makes Vender's tweet so maddeningly brilliant is that it didn't confirm anything. It just kept everyone talking. Whether he's a chaos agent or a master manipulator is up for debate, but one thing's for sure, he's helped keep Jake Paul in the headlines, which, let's be real, is Jake's real goal. This isn't about boxing, it's about attention, and Jake knows exactly how to get it. But let's take a quick pause. Jake's been on a roll lately, right? Remember his so-called victory over Mike Tyson? Yeah. Jake stepped into the ring with a 58-year-old man and had the audacity to celebrate like he just conquered the heavyweight division. The fight was scored unanimously in Jake's favor. Shocking, right? Tyson's retirement age makes that outcome about as surprising as the sunrise. But did that stop Jake from hyping himself up like he's the second coming of Sugar Ray Leonard?
It will be a trilogy fight down the line. It won't be straight away, but we will do it 3 times, 100%.
Of course not. The man thrives on delusion. Jake's strategy for the Tyson fight was simple. Avoid getting knocked out by a guy old enough to collect a pension and flex for the cameras. Naturally, his team made sure the world saw every grueling moment of his training, because Jake Paul without a training montage is like a YouTuber without clickbait. It just doesn't work. Push-ups, sparring, selfies, you name it. The result? A performance so mediocre that even Tyson's geriatric punches couldn't spice it up. Critics weren't just unimpressed, they were appalled. If there's one thing Jake Paul excels at, it's making mediocrity look like an Olympic sport. And now, here we are, Back to this McGregor nonsense. Jake's pitch for this fight reeks of desperation. He knows Conor isn't in his prime anymore, but that's Jake's speciality, cherry-picking opponents who won't obliterate him. For McGregor, this fight is all about the paycheck, because let's face it, what else does he have going for him these days? His whiskey empire? His stale trash talk? Jake, on the other hand, sees this as another opportunity to
McGregor calls out Jake Paul for the next boxing fight. Here it is.
Make a new name for yourself. Look at what has happened to Michael Perry. You know, one of our big stars here, the King of Violence. He titles himself, and you know he's had such a rise in the sport. Now he's up against you know, a little dweeb of a thing in a fight this weekend that we're all rooting for him.
quest for relevance. Interview. It makes sense, which is the only reason this fight is even being considered. Jake Paul's entire career revolves around turning controversy into cash. The bigger the name, the louder the noise. And Jake knows how to play that game better than anyone. But let's be real. This isn't about advancing his career as a boxer. Jake Paul's version of boxing involves dancing around aging legends and avoiding real competition. Conor McGregor, once the untouchable king of the UFC, is now teetering on the edge of irrelevance, clinging to the remnants of his former glory. This is the same guy who used to strike fear into opponents with his fists and charm millions with his Irish swagger. Now, he's more likely to be spotted selling whiskey or firing off cringeworthy Twitter rants than stepping into a fight that actually matters. Let's not forget that his last memorable moment in the octagon was snapping his leg against Dustin Poirier in 2021, an injury so catastrophic that even his legendary trash talk couldn't salvage it. Since then, McGregor has been on a long streak of inactivity, with no sign of returning to his former self-interview. McGregor's grand comeback isn't happening in the UFC, it's in the form of exhibition matches. Let me translate that for you. He's out here shopping for low-risk, high-payday fights that won't tarnish what's left of his reputation. It's like he's playing dodgeball with his legacy, avoiding any real competition while cashing in. Enter Jake Paul, the YouTube sensation turned boxer, who somehow manages to make McGregor look like the epitome of class by comparison. Jake, being the relentless clout chaser that he is, has thrown down the challenge to McGregor. But the response? Radio silence. Not a tweet, not a snarky Instagram post, nothing. It's almost like Conor himself knows how ridiculous this would be. Or, maybe, just maybe, he's too busy plotting his next whiskey ad. If McGregor takes the fight, it's a double-edged sword. Sure, it's an easy paycheck, but at what cost? A loss to Jake Paul would be the final nail in the coffin for his fighting legacy. Let's not kid ourselves. His reputation is already hanging by a thread. Reject the fight, and he avoids the circus, but he also loses one of his few remaining chances to stay relevant in the public eye. Either way, the notorious McGregor is becoming more notorious for his courtroom appearances and reality show antics than his once feared left hook interviews. Now let's talk about what this fight would actually mean for combat sports. Spoiler, not much. It's all spectacle over skill, drama over discipline. Boxing purists will cringe, MMA fans will groan, and casual viewers will tune in for the means, not the moves. Jake Paul doesn't care about legitimacy, he cares about cash. For McGregor, it's just another chance to avoid the octagon while cashing in on a fat check. The fight itself, a glorified sparring session dressed up as a once-in-a-lifetime event. Jake's career, if you can even call it that, thrives on these gimmicks. He recently declared his retirement from influencer boxing, whatever that means, and claimed he's now focused on professional bouts. But let's be real, Jake Paul is as much of a professional boxer as I am an astronaut. His entire shtick is built on chaos, controversy, and carefully orchestrated clownery. A fight with McGregor isn't about proving himself in the ring. It's about inflating his brand and his bank account. Win or lose, Jake will spin the narrative to make himself look like a genius. Because, let's face it, that's what he does best, interviewers. So here we are watching this circus unfold in slow motion. McGregor, once a fearsome warrior, now a shadow of his former self. Jake Paul, a walking meme factory, thriving on the chaos he creates. And then there's Sal Vender, stirring the pot just enough to keep this madness alive. Whether the fight happens or not, the damage is already done. Boxing, MMA, and anyone who cares about actual sportsmanship lose, while Jake Paul laughs all the way to the bank. For him, it's never been about the fight, it's always been about the attention, and boy does he know how to get it. Yet here we are, witnessing this car crash in real